All right, let's get right into it. We are talking about a massive economic and geopolitical shift happening as we speak, one that could seriously redefine the 21st century. We're looking at the rise of Latin America and the Caribbean and how they're starting to forge a brand new future for themselves. So let me just start by asking you a question, and be honest. Is the way you think about Latin America and the Caribbean, well, is it a little bit outdated? Because for a lot of us, the images that pop into our heads have been shaped by years and years of movies and news headlines.
I mean, on the one hand, you have the stereotype, right? Rainforests, beaches, and then the darker stuff, cartels and poverty. It's a story that's either about vacation or struggle. But then, look at the reality on the ground today. We're talking about satellite launches, fully automated ports, booming tech hubs, and massive high-tech agricultural machinery that's feeding the planet. It's a totally different picture.
And here's the bottom line. A silent but really powerful transition is happening. These countries are not just sitting on the sidelines of the world stage anymore. So, in this explainer, we're going to break down this huge shift, from its deep historical roots to the incredible opportunities today, and what it all means for the future.
You know, to really get where the region is going, you have to first understand where it's been. We have to talk about the anchor of its history. Because today's challenges aren't just random, they were literally designed into the economic system over 500 years.
And that brings us to this really key idea, peripheral economics. Think of it like this. Your entire country's economy isn't set up for your own people's benefit. Instead, it's designed to be super efficient at one thing, shipping raw materials like silver, sugar, you name it, to a powerful country far away. You sell the cheap stuff, and then you have to buy back the expensive finished products. It's a system that basically guarantees you'll stay dependent.
And what's wild is just how long this pattern is held. I mean, it kicked off in the 1500s, with colonial powers like Spain and Portugal just extracting wealth. Then, even after they got political independence in the 1820s, the economic dependency just switched owners, really, to the UK and the US. Fast forward to the 1980s, you get the lost decade with all the debt crises, and the 90s with policies that often just made things more unequal. It's been a long road.
But, and this is a huge but, that heavy anchor of history is now meeting a world of opportunity. The old global order is breaking up a bit, and that's actually creating some incredible new leverage for the region to play its own hand, using its own unique assets.
We can really boil these new opportunities down to 3 economic super assets. First, what some are calling the new oil. We're talking lithium and copper. Second, their role as an absolutely essential supplier of food for the entire planet. And third, a huge geographic advantage for this thing called nearshoring.
Okay, let's dig into that first one, because it's a true game changer. The entire global shift to green energy, to clean tech, it literally runs straight through Latin America. And this chart just says it all, doesn't it? Take a look. These are the world's lithium reserves. That's the key ingredient for every modern battery. The Lithium Triangle, that's Bolivia, Argentina, and Chile, is sitting on more than half of the world's entire supply. It's an absolutely staggering concentration of a resource everyone needs. And that brings us to a simple, unavoidable fact. You just can't have a global green energy transition without Latin America, period. And that, right there, gives the region geopolitical power that it has simply never had before.
Okay, so the second huge opportunity is nearshoring. With all the tension between the US and China, companies are getting nervous about having their factories so far away. So they're looking to move their supply chains closer to home. And who's perfectly positioned to benefit? Mexico. With its massive industrial base right on the border, it's set to catch this enormous wave of investment shifting away from Asia. So when you put it all together, you've got the critical minerals, you've got the strategic location. The million-dollar question becomes, how do these nations actually use this moment to finally achieve real economic independence and break those old historical patterns for good? Well, one of the key tools people are talking about is de-dollarization. Now, this isn't really about destroying the dollar. Think of it more as a tool for independence. When countries like Brazil and China decide to trade with each other using their own currencies, they get to step around the US financial system. That makes them less vulnerable to US sanctions and, maybe more importantly, to the interest rate decisions made by the US Federal Reserve.
All right, let's bring this all home. How does this all come together? What is the actual path forward, the trajectory for this sovereign ascent really look like?
Look, this potential is incredible, but it's not going to happen automatically. It needs a clear strategy. Step 1 is probably the most important. Build your own industries. Don't just dig up raw lithium and ship it out. Build the factories that make the actual batteries. Step 2, work together. Strengthen regional trade blocs to create powerful internal markets. And finally, step 3, you have to prioritize stability. You need long-term national plans that don't get tossed out every time there's an election.
So as this whole story unfolds, here are the things you should really watch for to see if it's working. Is R&D spending going up? Are those internal trade deals actually succeeding? How are the big players like Brazil and Mexico balancing their friendships between the old powers and the new ones? And at a basic level, are governments getting more effective and secure?
And all of this leaves us with the ultimate question. After 5 centuries of having their fate shaped by outside forces, the assets and the global conditions are finally lining up. All the pieces are on the board. So is this finally going to be the century that Latin America and the Caribbean forge their own destiny?